Welcome back to Footprint Wrench Central, where today I will be taking a look at these three 7-inch footprint wrenches that I picked up from the car boot sale on Sunday. And welcome back to the channel, everyone. I picked up these three 7-inch footprint wrenches all from the same stall on Sunday, and they all cost me £1 each. I picked up something else with them, but I can't remember what it was now. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so these are all footprint wrenches, as you can see. They're all genuine articles, and they're all from different time periods as well, and they all have different stories to tell. This is the one, it's in best condition, this one here. A bit oily, a bit grubby, but it's in the best condition. Then we have this little fellow here, which has had a bit of a hard life. And I must admit, I originally thought it had lost its pivot pin, but I'm not so sure now, to be honest with you. And there we have this little fellow here. You can see the difference in the top here, look, with the other two. But we'll have a look at these in detail in a few moments. This one definitely has lost its pivot pin, as you can see there. So let's start with this little fellow here then, guys. Of the three footprint wrenches here, this is, I believe, the best condition one. It's been looked after, this one, because you can see it's still got its original pivot pin there with a little footprint. There we go, a little footprint logo on it. I don't think it's damage from use. I think it's just damage from the forging or from the factory, possibly. It looks in fairly decent condition. Let's get it apart for you. So here we are in its component parts. We have the main handle here, the hook, and the little pivot pin right here. As you can see, the pivot pin is in nice condition, not been too badly damaged, if at all. We have the footprint logo there, as you can see. Very nice condition, very nice indeed, I like that. The hook is in quite good condition. Teeth seem to be alright to me. I can't see any damage to the teeth, much. I don't know what went on there. Whether it's been touched on a grinder or whatever, or maybe it was like that from the factory. I don't know. The Made in England and footprint logo weren't embossed into this one particularly very well at all. You can just about make them out there, I believe. And we have the model number there, too. No other marks on it. As you can see, it's filthy and oily and horrible. The holes look in fairly decent condition. Moving along here, doesn't look like it's been bashed at all with a hammer. And here at the end here, it looks in quite good nick too. Now, whether this here was from the factory, this mark here, or whether it's an owner's mark, I'll never know, to be honest with you. Right, let's take a look at the handle. Here we have the body. It's not been hammered at all. Sometimes they get hammered along the top here. Teeth again in very good condition. Riveting is very nice. What have we got in the line of markings here then? There's a footprint, Made in England. Again, it's not been embossed in there that well. But generally, very good nick. No sign of rusting. Hello, what's that going on in there then? Well, that's interesting. Right in. Alright, so yeah. So it's not had too bad a life, this particular one. I have noticed, however, it is a little bit sticky just there. So something's not quite right with it just there, but other than that, it's fine. Let's get the pivot pin back in, if we can. Get it lined up there. There we go, come on. No, it doesn't want to go, does it? But there we go, it's gone, I've got it. It's just a case of a misalignment going on there. So that's footprint wrench number one. This one's been looked after, not had too bad a life. Somebody's loved this one. Wrench number two then. Now, I'm no expert on these things by any means, but I think this one might be an earlier model than the first one we just looked at. and I think it's due to the pivot pin, because I thought the pivot pin had been replaced at some point, but we'll take a look at the pivot pins separately later on. The diameter of the thread here is smaller than the first one we looked at, but we'll have a look at that in a moment or two, guys. This one has definitely had a harder life. It's got no signs of hammering, but let's get it apart. Okay, so here we are in its component parts. Here we have the pivot pin, and I do actually have a another 7-inch wrench that's got this style of pivot pin with a smaller thread on it. So I'm wondering if this is an earlier example. You can see it's been beaten up a little bit. Looks like it's probably been gripped by pliers or in a vise at some point or another. No footprint markings on there that I can see. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my... one second. I've just examined it with my eyeglass here. I thought it might have had remnants of footprint written on here, but it hasn't. As I say, you can see it's kind of been beaten up a little bit. Let's take a look at the hook. Not too bad a condition. What are the teeth like? The teeth are alright too, yes. And we have the model number right there. It's not been embossed too well, again, but you can just about make out a footprint and made in England just there. And it looks like it's been hit with a hammer as well. It's been bashed by a hammer at some point. And if we take a look at this end, you can see it's all nicely bent. So somebody has given this one some welly at some point. This one's definitely not been looked after like the first one we looked at. The holes are okay. Just that, the hammering going on and the damage to the tip here. Move along to the handle. Okay, so we can see the footprint logo is nicely embossed. Riveting not too bad at all. However, we can see there's a considerably massive crack going on, almost 3/4 of the way down the jaw here. So it looks like it's had some hard work in its time. Teeth are okay. Is there any signs of hammering on the top here? Maybe a little bit just there. I think there's a little bit of hammering going on just there, as you can probably see. Just there. Other than that, not too bad a condition. What's it like inside? Looks like we've got some straw going on in there. So I've obviously been in a barn or somewhere. But yeah, so this one has indeed had a much harder life than the first one we looked at. Okay, let's move along. Okay, wrench number 3 then. And as you can see, it looks a bit different from the other two. This could be a later model. I'm not sure the year that it was made at all, but we have this going on in the hook here. Slightly rougher markings here. But yeah, let's get it apart. Taking a look at the pivot pin here. Obviously the original pivot pin has been lost and someone has substituted this screw here, and you can see, looking at it, it has had quite a considerable hard life. We have a little bit of thread left at the end here, and you can see where the hook has been wearing the thread away just here. Nicely concaved there, a little bit of thread left there. So yeah, it's had a bit of a life, hasn't it? It's been definitely used with this screw here. Let's take a look at the hook. Not in too bad a condition by the looks of things. Obviously filthy, could do with a damn good cleaning up. The holes, I'm surprised really with the use of the screw there that these holes are not in worse condition. They do feel a little raised and a little worn. As you can see, look, there we go. So it's had some considerable usage using the screw there. And once again we have some damage to this end a little bit, as you can see there in the corner. Is there any sign of hammering? You can see the forge marks quite clearly in this one. And we have this very different end going on here with the footprint logo. Different from the others. Moving along to the handle then. You can see there's a little bit of rusting going on around the handle, and that's probably from the pivot pin. What's the jaws like? Not too bad at all. What's the riveting like? Not bad. Seen better. You can see some definitely grind marks going on here. So some gouges just there. Any signs of hammering on the top? No. And the logo and Made in England has been embossed on there very nicely. Footprint. What's it like inside then? Not too rusty. So yeah, no cracks on this one. Right, let's have a look at the pivot pin, shall we? So it goes in as per normal. It's very loose fit in here for a start. You screw it in a little bit and it just drops through, look. So it's had some considerable use with this particular pivot pin in place. Here we have a very nice example from my collection of the 6-inch footprint wrench. You can see how nicely it's been embossed on the handle and the hook. Let's get the pivot pin out of it, and here is its pivot pin, as you can see, very nice. And you can see it's a smaller diameter than the bearing portion just here. I'm not sure whether it would have had footprint on it at some point, whether it's worn off. We have some little bits of knurling going on around the outside. So let's compare all three pivot pins. So here is the example for my pristine condition 7-inch footprint wrench. This is the one from the nicely looked after 7-inch footprint wrench that I picked up at the weekend. You can see there is a definite diameter difference between the two. Here is the third one from the quite well worn wrench, and you can see it's a smaller diameter and a shorter little thread as well. Well, I'm calling this thing a pivot pin, but it's not, it's just a screw, but it's just here, you know, because it's part of what we're looking at. You can see there is a definite difference between these two here, definitely. And again between these two here. Now I'm going to say, I'm not an expert, so you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm going to say this one here is probably from a later model, possibly, because this one here, the screw is more or less the same diameter. So I'm going to say that the first wrench and the third wrench here are both later models. This one could possibly be from between the wars, and this one is definitely, I think personally, a later model. I don't know when from. Be interesting to find out, because we've got the different how the hooks are embossed differently, as you can see. There's a considerable difference between the two there. And this one here, I think, is probably an earlier model. Again, you can see the difference in the embossing between these two. I'd say this one's had quite a considerably hard life, as you can see from the crack going on just here. So it's almost made it right the way through here, as you can see. Almost. It's not got far to go, really. I don't know how much effort you would have to put into this to crack it all the way along. It's not something I want to do, to be honest with you. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. 3 different 7-inch footprint wrenches, all from, I believe, different time periods. This is probably one of the, the latest one. I believe this one to be an early one, and this one fits somewhere in the middle. So basically, they should be like this, really, early, mid, and later. I believe, anyway. There might even be a slight different shape to the hooks as well, for that matter. Look, the earlier one has got a more rounded hook to it, and these two here have slightly squared off hooks. Oops. But there we are. 3 different wrenches with 3 different stories. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed popping over to the workshop here at Rathbone Manor to take a look at these 3 different 7-inch footprint wrenches, all from different periods in time, I believe. I shall be going back to the boot sale in about just over a week's time. I won't be going this Sunday, but it'll be the following Sunday that I go along. Obviously I'll be keeping an eye out for more footprint wrenches. you know, and clones and copies too, because I like picking those up too. I've got quite a few of those at the moment. Alright then guys, well thanks for popping over. Thanks for you know, getting grubby along with me here. As you can see, I'm quite filthy. These are very dirty things, so go and have yourself a good wash up, and I will catch you back here at Rathbone Manor in the very near future then. Thanks for watching.
Ruff, ruff.